Happy New Year, everyone. I'm recording this on New Year's Eve, but when you see it, it will be New Year's Day. I am here in Kyoto Imperial Garden. It's actually the Imperial Palace grounds behind me there. It's a big-ass garden. It's another palace to the other side, and actually it's actually a palace behind me, and then some other kind of thing to the right. So it's pretty cool. So, this has been quite a year, hasn't it? As I reflected last week at this time when I was bathing in the ocean, or swimming, I guess you could say, outside of Okinawa, that this year ended a little bit differently than it started. Yes. Pretty lopsided year when, what was it, 9 months of this year was a struggle, and 3 months has been bliss, or I guess, pretty much. So 2017 began in the apartment of my friend Frida, who actually I've known her for quite a while, but actually thanks to me getting cancer, I guess, we started talking more again. And after that, we've been talking and hanging out and stuff. So it's like cancer gained me a friend, sort of. That was good. So, yeah, we rang in the new year at her apartment in Stockholm. And at that time, I was mentally preparing for chemotherapy, because that was coming up in sometime in January. So I did that, which was 5 days of 5 hours a day or 3 hours or whatever of IV in my other arm, actually. But anyway, laying in the bed, just lying still, and then going to the bathroom every 40 minutes or something. That includes the night. So it's like water, fluid in, fluid out. That was pretty much the whole experience. At that time, I still was recovering from my surgery in the way that I still had my surgeon hole, or whatever you call it, my wound. I have no idea what to call it in English, actually, but in my very lower stomach or whatever, because of what happened last year with the whole operation, and then the blood building up and then pushing it out, and then the hole that was remaining healing really, really fucking slowly. It took like 4 months before it would stop bleeding. That was actually 2016, so that's not worth going over, I guess. But that was still happening at the time of 2017 rolled around. I wasn't going to the clinic every other day at least, but it was still going on. But then that ended, and about just maybe 1 or 2 weeks after the chemo, which was in like mid-January or something. So yeah, then I had a little reaction to the chemo thing where I couldn't sleep for 2-3 days or whatever it was, and stuff related to that. And it was winter, of course. That's always fun. So yeah, and I was off sick, whatever that's on disability now. That's not it. Whatever that's called in English. And then I started working again 1 week per month at the old place, which that was all they could offer at that time because of the massive downsizing. So it's good that I got back into the swing of it a little bit. And I started to be unemployed full-time, so to speak, except for that 1 week then. So that went on for a few months. Then I actually got a job, sort of. It was more freelance, so it wasn't like 9 to 5 or anything, but it was at my old boss got a new job with horse racing. Really exciting sport, not. I mean, it's very boring to look at for fun, but it is fun to edit, like most things are, actually. I haven't really come across something that was really boring to edit yet. I guess the closest would actually be the mind games with the like chess and stuff. Nothing happens really. But I got a job there thanks to him, doing like a couple days a week with the horse racing, and that continued from summer to fall when I moved. Also in the summer I did the radiation therapy, which was interesting, having to get on not a bed but a table and strip and put your thing up and clamp it, and then the radiation thing going, and it didn't hurt or anything, but it was just the awkwardness of it was, the awkward level was high. Also at the same time I got tested for sleep apnea, which it turned out I had in spades. So I started sleeping with the big mask on, and I got my testosterone gel finally, which they had talked about fall of 2016. But now I actually got it, and so there was this time. It was June. June was the worst month of the year because I had radiation therapy. I had the sleep apnea thing, which at that point I was a little afraid that it would jeopardize Japan again, because the scheduling to get tested for one was kind of strict. So it's like, oh, we maybe can fit you in November or something. About November, I can't in November. But on the other hand, if I just go and if I have the testosterone and not have the sleep apnea thing, this testosterone might have drove up my blood levels or something, and then with the sleep apnea, that would have from a medical point of view, you should not combine those two factors, because then you could get like a blood clot in your brain or something and die, which of course I don't want to do ever. But luckily they were able to fit me in the schedule much earlier, so I was able to get it earlier. But then also, like in June, so I had the radiation therapy, I had the sleep apnea thing, I was working. One day I worked both jobs in one day, so I worked from like 9 to 11 or something. I had a bunch of dentist appointments, which also dentist appointment I had procrastinated since 2016. There was just all sorts of shit going on, and there was one night there, it might have actually been in July, but I'm not entirely sure when it was, but it was one night when I was doing a sleep test with sleeping with this thing in my nose, and I wrapped around and this thing on my finger, and I couldn't sleep. And but I had to get through this thing to get fitted for this thing that will help me do that thing, and blah, blah, blah. And just the feeling of, okay, so now my life is going to be like, okay, so I have one ball because the other one's been cut out. I can't have children the normal way anymore. I have to sleep with this fucking mask. I have to put testosterone gel on me to stay normal-ish. And I was just like, I had a bit of a breakdown-ish, if you call it that for me. But it was a rough night. Also the fact that I couldn't sleep, which it's one of the things that makes me the most crazy in general. So that was a terrible night. It was like kind of the dip of this year. And it was pretty much in the middle too, which makes it fitting somehow. I just felt that, man, I just wanted to live a normal life, but I've never been able to live a normal life. It's not that my life has ever been that terrible, really. It's just that I want this level of normal, whatever everyone else has, but I've never had it. So that's annoying. But I've accepted it since then, and plus I'm in Japan, so now I don't really care anymore. But then at the very end of June was like this really wonderful moment when I had worked my last day. No, not my last day, but it was this really long day. And the day after, I was going to Edinburgh for a 4-day trip or something to do the JLPT. And the radiation was done, and the dentist stuff was done. Everything was done. It really felt like this big cathartic moment where I just like, I'm so done with all this. And this fucking hell of a month was actually finally over. And then it was like, okay, so now it's JLPT, and then it's get the results, and then it's like July, August, September, and then I go. So like, it was really the doorway to the rest of my life, sort of. So that felt really good to go to Edinburgh that time. It was really well needed, and it also turned out really well because the JLPT test I did really well on. Actually, I was a little surprised, but that was good. After that, it felt more like then I was back on just preparing for Japan and not like doing all the other stuff. So July and August and September was working more, saving money again, doing all the application for Japan stuff, getting the not apartment this time, but share house that I'm living in now, and everything. There was also that moment. There was like in, I don't know, February, March or something, probably February or even late January, where I actually got approved for the school. The school approved my application, and that was a big moment also, because like, okay, now before that in January I was a little bit in limbo, because like, okay, I'm going to start over with my whole Japanese application, but until they say yes, you're admitted into the school, it was all a little theoretical. But when they actually said yes, okay, now I can start my second journey towards Japan. But then we're back in August and September and everything, just a bunch of preparations. Everything went pretty smoothly. And then I moved to Japan, finally. Via a 29-hour complete trip or something. And now I'm here. These 3 months have just been great. I don't really have any complaints. I bought a ton of games. Actually, I bought so many games that I pretty much now I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've almost bought so many that there aren't that many games left on my list that I want to buy until I'm to the point where I only have those rare, expensive games left. The games that I might not even buy at all, just because I can't, in good conscience, spend that much money on one game. And the studying went well, as the first term just ended recently, and the major test I got 92.5% on, which was good, and I got A's and S's on my report card. And of course now next year will be a bit more difficult, but I'm like in good shape, I feel, and also good shape. I lost what was it, 6 or 7 kilos since I got here, which feels pretty good, although I can't really, in the mirror I can't really see the difference yet. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going to the gym, of course. I can't wait. It will be really interesting to see how I look when I get back and how I feel, and because I do think I will go back, just because I'm not as optimistic as some of my friends who are like, no, you're definitely going to find your wife in Japan and live there forever and work and everything. I'm just like, maybe, but that's like a 1% chance maybe. Right now I'm just focused on, first of all, just making it to like February when I take the other blood test, which will decide if I can stay another 3 months. So basically I'm going to take it 3 months at a time, try to survive the fucking Kyoto summer, and just try to enjoy the next 9 months, study and experience things. Next year is just because of the whole year thing, it's going to be like a flip of last year, because last year was 9 months hard and 3 months easy. Now it's going to be 9 months easy and 3 months hard. Although I don't know if it's going to be hard when I actually move back. But the only thing I'm not worried right now because I don't think about it. But when I go home to Sweden, I don't know where I'm going to live, because I don't really want to move back to the room I had because those people are very eccentric, and my family members all live in other cities. So, and looking for a place to live from here is a little difficult, because obviously I can't come look at a room or something if I'm on the other side of the globe. But it'll all work out in the end. And hopefully I might not even have to leave. Who knows? But anyway, this has been a very interesting year. Built a lot of character, I hope, and I'm looking forward to next year. Yeah, Happy New Year.